Okay, hello everybody, it's me, Cubby, with another personal spin. Only this time I've been watching a lot of videos by other YouTubers. Let me just there we go. Plushies. What was I saying? I've been influenced by a lot of other YouTubers I've been watching who I've done a video called Albums That Got Me Into Such a Genre, and I thought I'd do that for thrash metal because I'm currently on a really big thrash metal kick. Whee! And a few other people have done thrash metal, so I thought I'd do it. However, it's important to note that a lot of the other people who have done this type of thing have been really into the sort of scene. I don't know if that's the right word or anything. Whereas I was much more general. I've always just been a fan of music in general, and it wasn't really until a couple of years into getting into the first couple of bands that I realised there was such a thing as thrash metal. And so I don't have a huge collection like everyone else does, although I'm working on that one. So I will start in chronological order the albums that sort of I first got that were thrash metal, that I really liked and that kind of got me into it. So the first album I ever owned was Megadeth, Rust in Peace. Now you'll have to excuse this big cutout where the Megadeth is. I cut it out and put it on my caravan wall because at the time my bedroom was a caravan and it needed decorating, and I cut it off. On the plus side, I also have the phone number of a girl I met in school back in the day. So yeah, anyway, this is awesome. Oh, wrong side. I love this album. I mean, pretty much every song is just a beast. My favourites are Hangar 18, Lucretia, and Rust in Peace / Polaris. So yeah, that was my first ever, and it was a beast to get. So that was cool. Then a year later, I got this album for Christmas. My mum's boyfriend was like, "Oh, you should get into Metallica. I'll buy you an album for Christmas," and he got me this one. And it blew me away. I know it's not the usual sort of one. Normally, everyone get Master of Puppets, but this is what I mean by I wasn't really. When I got the first album, I lived in a place where there was no CD shops, and the internet didn't really exist back then, and I was only 14, so I couldn't drive. So I had to sort of make do with what I could get my hands on at the time. So I was into all sorts of stuff as well as thrash metal. So he got me this, and I loved it. It blew me away. Blackened, Eye of the Beholder, Harvester of Sorrow, Frayed Ends of Sanity, are kind of the big ones for me. Oh, and One, of course. So yeah, that was the second one, and I was like, yes, I like this style. Then I moved to the current house I'm in when I was 14, and I met someone who was like, "Do you want to come and see Slayer at Unholy Alliance tour?" And I was like, "Sure." I don't even know who Slayer are. That's how out of the loop I was. So I went and saw them, and that was with Mastodon, Hatebreed, and Slipknot, and Slayer were on, and they got encored 7 times or something ridiculous like that. And the whole time I was just like, yes, like this. And it was amazing. So then the next day, I think it was, or sometime that week, I was like, I need Slayer. So I bought Slayer, and I bought pretty much this one and God Hates Us All, which is over there, but I couldn't find it in my big pile of CDs. So I bought this one, which I absolutely loved, and God Hates Us All. This is at this point I realised there was such a thing as a genre as thrash metal. My hair is annoying me. So then I started exploring it a bit more, and I have got all of Metallica, all of Slayer, all of Megadeth studio albums. That is and then yeah, I then also got Testament, which was brilliant. Out of the new bands that I bought at this point, this was my favourite. The Legacy, First Strike is Deadly, Raging Waters, Over the Wall, pretty much the whole album. I just was like, yes. And there you go. Those are the first 4 albums that got me into thrash metal. And then slowly over the years, I got more here and there, but I collected other things like Fear Factory and black metal and just other music, you know, metalcore as people call it, Killswitch Engage, Caliban. I'm looking at my collection of stuff. Then I got into punk, so I got the Bouncing Souls, No Effects, and that sort of thing, which is actually tied into thrash metal. But yeah, I've always liked both quite a lot, and so just yeah, my interest has sort of waxed and waned. But thinking about it, it's always been one of my favourite genres. Then recently, wait, where's my other list gone? Oh, here they are. Right, and then so then I thought, as a side note, because 4 albums wasn't as long as everyone else's, so we're doing like 30 albums. I thought I'd do the albums that I encountered and kept my interest in thrash metal going during the years, the last sort of 10 years. So the first one would be South of Heaven, which I got shortly after I got the other 2 Slayer albums I mentioned earlier. I have them all. I bought them all fairly rapidly within months of each other. Then I bought, where is it? The System Has Failed. Now this is kind of again, I cut the Megadeth symbol off because I loved it and it went on my wall. This one, again, is kind of a little bit controversial because it's not their best album, even though I don't think it is, but it really hit me in the face and I was like, ooh, that's really good. I need to get more thrash metal or stuff like it. So then I went, let's get Exodus, because I've heard of them, but I don't own anything by them. And at the same time I was doing that, a friend in college went, here, have a copy of this other Exodus album. So I was like, okay. So I listened to both of them and I was like, I like this one more. I know, travesty, but that's the way it is. But yeah, so I got them too. And I also got Tempo of the Damned, which I didn't include. Oh yes, I did, in this little pile here. So then I became quite a big fan of Exodus, which is cool. They interested me quite a lot. Then someone else was like, oh, why don't you get some... No. Then I went, oh, I need to find more bands in this genre. So then I encountered Heathen and Forbidden. You really can't see this, they just shine. So these 2 albums kept me going for a while. Love these 2 albums. Forbidden, it's Chalice of Blood, because that's just a brilliant name for a song. Forbidden Evil, I think it's As Good as Dead, but it might be Feel No Pain. It might be both of them that I really, really like. And then Heathen actually kind of didn't click for a long, long time. And then I've recently been listening to it again. I'll explain why in a bit. And just like the first 3 tracks are brilliant. So there we go. Then another friend said, oh, you like thrash metal, you should get Annihilator. So I was like, okay. So I own all of Annihilator's albums, good and bad. This one I got and loved it. It's obviously their first album, largely considered a classic, I believe. And I also got this one, which is not. However, I think it's fucking brilliant. Denied, Perfect Virus, Shallow Grave, Time Bomb. They're all epic. You should check it out. It's not the thrashiest of thrash metal albums. There's a bit of other influence in there, but you know, there's always going to be, isn't there? And then some point in that lot, I also bought Nuclear Assault. This with a live album in the box set, which I thought was really cool. Just that album cover. But I don't ever remember actually having listened to it. It's one of those ones I just probably never got around to listening to. I buy a lot of CDs, as you can see. And then, speaking of buying CDs, I recently bought some CDs of sort of old school thrash metal, which has now re-piqued my interest. And I've sort of gone, yes, do you know what? I really, 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 really like thrash metal a lot. So those albums were this, Sacrilege, which from what I understand is not actually an official release. Never has been and never will be, because it was released in 1989. I'm not sure, but I still really, really like it. I've only really listened to it sort of twice, so nothing has really clicked with that one yet. But it's cool. And I believe they're British as well, which is cool. Along with that also came Dethrone. This is a little bit sort of a cross between like heavy metal and thrash, but it's still thrash metal, and it's pretty cool. Black Dawn, Last Respects, and Beyond the Wall. Beyond the Wall is an instrumental, I believe, that's really good. Let me just check. Oh no, it's Last Respects, it's the instrumental, and then Beyond the Wall is the one that comes after it, and it's awesome. It's got some really good bass playing in it. Drums are a little bit weird though, but that's okay. Then also with that came Hallow's Eve, Tales of Terror. This is a really, really quick album. It's like 28 minutes long, like Rain in Blood, which I actually really like. It's fast and really, really good. I only got this recently, and it's just awesome. Definitely check out Hallow's Eve. Plugging to Megadeth is also really good, as well as There Are No Rules, which is kind of like a punk song more than anything else. I got this one in that list as well, Death Wish, called At the Edge of Damnation. Again, I've only listened to this one 3-ish times. It sounds pretty cool. It's a little bit more mellow than most thrash metal, so I'm not sure if it's actually considered thrash metal, but it's kind of thrashy. Oh, I forgot about these two. Before I got this lot, along with my random interest in thrash metal, I acquired Evil's this album, Enter the Grave, which comes with the DVD. You know, with the new wave of thrash metal, you know, everyone knows this album, or should do, amongst others, which I'm now collecting. But this was because they were British, and I liked the guitars they were using in the video I saw. I bought it and was like, wow, that's incredible. It's really good. It sounds like Slayer. I like Slayer. And then I somehow came across Eradicator, Madness Is My Name, and it's just brilliant. I've yet to hear anybody mention Eradicator, but they are really, really good. And the new album, Into Oblivion, is out. I'll be reviewing it as soon as it arrives at my house. Along with those two, I also got Exorcist, that's how I pronounce it, The Brutal State, which is like Greek, and that's also really cool. It's a bit like Eradicator, but kind of faster. Eradicator is a little bit slower, but I mean, it's still pretty fast, so that's cool. With that other bunch of CDs I was talking about, I also got Iron Angel, Hellish Crossfire, which is really cool. And that's it, really. These are the albums that got me into thrash metal, kept my interest in thrash metal, and then renewed my interest in thrash metal, for want of a better thingy. Along with Vector, it's probably one of my more recent ones. Absolutely loved that. That's kind of technical / proggy thrash metal. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just collect CDs and then talk about them. It's fun. I also got Testament's new album. It's pretty good. It's it's typical Testament, newish Testament. I like the front cover as well, which is cool. I'm going to put that on in a minute and listen to it. I recently got Hatchet's new album that actually came yesterday because of my new interest in thrash metal. This is the album that did it, along with Terrifier, but I'm still working on getting that one. So there we go. And last but not least, a random band called Shrapnel, which I got in a random box set. The album is called The Virus Conspires, and it's pretty good. I've only listened to it like once, so I can't really tell you anything about it. I just have this big list of other ones that I didn't really get into the video, but yeah, they're kind of sort of not as important because they didn't, I mean, I listened to them, but they didn't keep me interested. They didn't hit me in the face. Well, actually, a couple of them did, but I didn't want to mention too many. So there we go. Thank you for watching. I have been Cubby. This has been a personal spin, and this has been the albums that got me into thrash metal. Kept me personal spin. Bye.